being sold like they were filet mignon or something now. You need to know that you are looking at the end result of birds who sat in complete misery. These birds are full of diseases, and that's not surprising because they are living in filth and because they have been genetically engineered to grow to 6 pounds at 6 weeks of age, where a normal chicken at 6 weeks of age would barely weigh even a pound. Therefore, these baby chickens who are still peeping, just like babies when they go to slaughter, they're literally going beep, beep, beep. They still have baby blue eyes when they go to slaughter. These birds, because they have been forced genetically to grow so huge in such a short amount of time, merely 5.5 to 6 weeks, they suffer from heart attacks. Millions have heart attacks in the chicken houses before they get to the slaughter plants. Virtually all of them go to slaughter, the chicken pieces that you're seeing in all the stores and restaurants, with chronic respiratory infections because they're breathing so much pollution, so many bacterial pathogens, that is disease-causing microorganisms, because their whole system is assaulted by pollutants and by viruses and by funguses and by parasites. And when you open the doors of these chicken houses, these baby birds, who in nature would be so lively, running around, running under their mother's feathers, exploring things, enjoying their young lives, they're all just sitting there, not moving, wall to wall. Most of them, as I said, are completely lame, and they're so overwhelmed with the amount of weight they're forced to put on and the pollution they're breathing, they can't even walk by the time they're going to slaughter. And a journalist for the newspaper called The Guardian described his shock upon opening the door of a chicken house with the thousands and thousands of chickens sitting there in their own waste, cooped in poop. And he said that all he saw was a sea of stationary gray objects, that we have turned these lively birds into a sea of stationary gray objects so that we can eat their dead bodies. Now, I believe that the people who are here today, gathered together in this wonderful day on behalf of the Veggie Pride Parade, want to help create a better life, not only for themselves, not only to be healthier ourselves physically, but also to be healthier spiritually and emotionally. And that comes in part from how we choose to relate to our fellow creatures, both human and other than human. I think that we are healthier. I think we're ultimately happier human beings when we become informed about the terrible things you are hearing about today, but we decide to do something about it. And if there's one thing that every human being can do something about, it's what they choose to put in their mouth. We may not be able to change everything that the government is doing that we disagree with, although we should advocate for all the good things that we want in this world, for all beings. But here's the thing. There are many things that are very hard for each individual to accomplish on the grand scale. But the one thing that each individual can accomplish in his or her own life is to wash their hands of the blood of their fellow creatures who are in the meat markets and on these shelves of egg cartons. Inside each egg is a suffering hen, just like in each glass of milk is a suffering calf and his or her mother. Every piece of chicken, you should know, had powerful electric shocks coursing through their body, through their eardrums and their eyes, and their delicate, sensitive tissue, muscle tissue, in the slaughter plants, because not all of the big commercial slaughter plants, like Purdue and Tyson and all the other ones, They actually riddle these birds with electric shocks to paralyze their muscles before they slaughter them and to enable their feathers to come out more easily from the pores of their skin after they're dead. So just looking at each piece of flesh, you are looking at hidden suffering, hidden suffering. And again, I want to end on positive notes because I've been in this movement now for several decades, and it's been a great joy to me to see how many people do care about chickens, care about farmed animals, care about wanting to change their diet and their lifestyle as much as they can to live more kindly, more compassionately, and more gently and more responsibly on this earth that we share with all of these other creatures. People who want to have a life that doesn't strip other animals, other beings of the comfort and joy that we want in our own lives. And I should tell you as I conclude my presentation that in the 1980s I met a hen, a chicken, who I wrote about, and you can go to our table where it says what wings are for and pick up my story of Viva, the chicken hen, I called this essay. And this chicken was so transformative for me when I met her, because I grew up not really knowing chickens, and she was very crippled, and she was so sweet, and she was so attentive and so affectionate that meeting her was very, very definitive in my decision to become a spokesperson for her and for all of the other Vivas who would not have the good fortune to have been rescued as she was by me. And on the eastern shore of Virginia, we have a wonderful sanctuary where to see our birds out on this very day, a day like this where they're out in the yard and they're running around and they're sunbathing, they're dust bathing, they're enjoying their social life together. It's a beautiful sight. And when people visit our sanctuary, they're so moved to see our birds sitting in trees, sitting in tree limbs, our chickens. Even chickens who never knew anything but a cage before, when they actually get into a world of grass and trees and the earth itself, their nature responds to the world they know they were meant to live in. So that's the world we want people to choose a diet that will allow them to return to, and where we will extend the golden rule to other creatures so that what we want for ourselves in the form of basic happiness and the opportunity to pursue the life that we want to live, that we want that for chickens, turkeys, ducks, cows, pigs, and everybody who has an opportunity to live however briefly on this planet. We want a world where finally all animals are walking to freedom after a life in cages, and this time they're never going back, and neither are their offspring. So thank you very much, and again, thank you for coming out today. Go vegan! Don't just switch from beef to chicken. Get the slaughterhouse out of your kitchen. Thank you.